Hi, I'm Wes Allen with DM Tales, and I thought this week I'd do something just a little bit different. This is my GM origin story, the story of Hallmark. Let's roll it. Before we begin, thanks to everyone who's done the whole like, share, comment, and subscribe routine for any of the videos on this channel. And if you'd consider doing that for this video, it would be a huge help. Thank you so much. For folks who watch the channel, you know that I got back into the hobby at the start of the pandemic. I knew I was going to need something social, and I decided that a D&D game would be something that would really be beneficial. I love the cicada noise, by the way. This is awesome. So anyway, I hadn't been involved in TTRPGs in years. I knew I wasn't going to be ready to run a game anytime soon. And so a friend of mine from college ran it with a bunch of friends. I had a lot of fun. And by about August that year, I was missing my neighbors because we hang out on my porch a lot. We do game nights, we do cookouts. We would go out to different pizza places just to check them out. And I was missing them. And I thought, well, what if I set up a game that I could run for them? Because about this time I'm going, well, I could run this system. This is pretty easy. It was 5e. And I thought, okay. And then two things happened. First, Foundry VTT got released. I was starting to watch some of the videos demoing how it worked, and I realized this was software that thought like I did. It would be something that I'd be able to pick up really, really easily. So I picked that up. And then Dungeon Draft came out, and I could make cool maps all of a sudden, and that was a lot of fun. And so I went about starting to plan an adventure. But I had a problem. None of my neighbors played TTRPGs. Well, one of them had played as a kid, hadn't played for years. And my wife in particular just had no interest in it at all. So what I tried to do is to pull in something that my wife and I enjoy doing together every year. So around late November, early December, we grab a bottle of wine, we sit down on our sofa, and we watch all the cheesy movies that come out on like Hallmark and Netflix and Amazon. And we just have a blast for the entire month, just watching these things over and over and over again. And I realized they have a certain, plot to them that is pretty much consistent all the way across the board with specific tropes. And they could be adapted really easily for a TTRPG adventure. So I explained to my Monday group what it is that I was doing, and they thought it was a cool idea. And one of my friends said, oh, you have to call it Howlmark. And that is literally where the Howlmark concept came from. Okay, so what is Howlmark? Well, at its base, Howlmark is taking all of those campy tropes from Hallmark movies that are schmaltzy, the finding the meaning of true love or discovering the joy of whatever holiday is being celebrated. Often it's Christmas, right? And smashing it all together so that there is this arc of where a character goes from being miserable to finding true joy again, and everything's a happy ending. And that is basically the way that Howlmark is set up. And we have the reclamation going on across the river in an otherwise idyllic scene. So my first Howlmark adventure I had done using 5e, like as I said. And by the time I got done with that adventure, I was like, I don't really like running 5e. It's just not my cup of tea. And I wanted something that was a little bit more naturally gonzo in order to do it. And so Easy D6 had come out. People were talking about it on old Twitter. And I thought that this was something that would really, really be great. And so that's what I did. So I created a setting basically of this town called Hobgoblin Falls, which was a small podunk town that was too tiny to hold the ambitions of player characters who had these great notions of what they wanted to be and do in the world. And at the same time, it was small and podunk and it was too tiny for anybody. It had a rather large restaurant district and like 5 armories and all these other cool accoutrements that go along with being a tourist mecca. So if you've ever watched a Hallmark movie, you've always seen that as like, I don't want to be in that small little town. And then they go to a scene where there's like a computer store and there's like massive city traffic going on in the background. That's what I was trying to go for with that point. And it was a lot of fun. I think the coolest aspect of the town for me was that an old friend of the main PC, and in my story, the PC had left town to basically chase their ambitions of becoming a well-known provider of adventurer training schools. So that was the idea. And but one of the PC's old friends had become like the head of the tourism industry inside Hobgoblin Falls and was trying to rebrand it as an adventurer's mecca for adventurers who, you know, they need some leisure time in between their chasing of dungeons and trying to kill dragons and steal all of their loot. They need a place to spend it. And so that's what was the background of this town. All these goofy things are going on. And that became the random tables for the town, is this one character trying to demo like their newest fad for the adventurers who are going to come in and spend all their gains here. And it was like the death trap waterfall climbing, or, you know, there was a wizard scavenger hunt, and there was, you know, ox cart surfing going down the main street. And every time that she showed up, something crazy would go on and the players would have to actually deal with it. And that's a lot of fun. When I ran these as one-shots at a bunch of tables, I didn't get a chance to go into them as deep because you're with time constraints. But when I play it with friends over a course of 1 or 2 sessions, it is a blast to throw those things in. And I did it because in EZD6, when you fail checks, you get karma. And I thought it was a really nice way to earn a lot of karma without having a huge, you know, risk going on, so that later on they could spend it and just go nuts. And that did work out a couple of times. So since those 3 one-shot days, I have been able to run at least the first adventure in a couple different settings. I ran it at Page one year, and I ran it at the first EcclesiaCon. It was a lot of fun. But I've always wanted to revisit Hobgoblin Falls and see what people could do with it if I ran it for more people, or if people actually just picked up the adventure and ran in their setting themselves. So that led me to the idea the other day that maybe, just maybe, I am going to do an actual play series of my EZD6 Howlmark Trilogy. If everything works out, I'll try to play this as an actual play on my channel. As I said, we'll do 1 or 2 sessions per adventure, and hopefully people will have a really good time with it. If it all works out, we will try to make these available for purchase through DriveThruRPG. I'll do the whole layout and thing and see what we can do to make them stand out and be enjoyable for more and more people. Because I love Hallmark as a trope for just silly TTRPG adventures. Okay, coming up on the channel, you may have been able to tell that I am not in my studio because I don't have access to it this week, so it's a little hard to do my more set videos. But I do have my first and second draft of my Dreams and Machines review written. I have a little bit of tweaking I want to do on that, and then I'm going to try to record it and get it up on the channel next week. Also got my weekly random thoughts that's going to be coming up pretty soon. We'll see how I get to that this week. And if you are interested, my friend Peter from Tales from Elsewhere is doing his current Kickstarter for his game, Tales from Elsewhere Clockworld. And you can see my interview with him there, and hopefully you'll be able to see the link to the Kickstarter over there. Really would love it if you could go check it out. He's got a free quick start guide that you can look at and download to see if this is something interesting for you, but it's got a really cool wound system and a really neat resolution mechanic. I think it is really worth checking out, and I have said really many, many times in that session, that sentence. So anyway, I'm looking forward to bringing this all to you as soon as I can, and until we see each other again, folks, happy playing, everyone.